Hey everyone, welcome to the council. It is 5:42 p.m. and I will call this meeting to order. I'll start with the territorial acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that the SFSS is located on the traditional and unceded territories of the Coast Salish peoples, including the Musqueam, Squamish, Stoliti, Coquitlam, and Katsu nations. Unceded means these territories have never been handed over, so were given up by these nations and are currently situated on occupied territories. I will start with the roll call attendance. CSSS.
Hi, this is Micah. All my access needs are met.
Engineering science. Engineering science. Okay, mechatronics.
Hi everyone, my name is Aiden and all my needs are met.
Thank you. Software systems.
Hello everyone, this is Fabian. All my access needs are met.
Thank you. Sustainable energy.
Hi, I'm Sebastian. All of my needs are met.
Thank you. SAS.
Names I pronounce he, him, his, all my access needs are met.
Thank you. Cognitive science. Cognitive science. Okay. Krim.
My name is Henry, pronounce he and his, access needs are just fine.
English.
Hi, my name is Fatima. My pronouns are she, her, and all of my access needs are met.
FWS.
Hi, my name is Jasleen and all my access needs are met.
Thank you. Indigenous studies. Indigenous studies. Okay. ISSN.
Hello everyone, good afternoon. My name is Iago. My pronouns are he, him, and all my access needs are met.
Thank you. Labor studies. Okay.
You said linguistics? Sorry.
Yes, you're next. Linguistics. Go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry, my name is Amari, my pronouns are they, them, and all my access needs have met.
Thank you. Political science.
Hi, my name is Malek. My pronouns are she, her, and all my access needs are met.
Thank you. World languages. World languages. Okay, pass.
Hi, my name is Meha Sidhu. I go by she, her pronouns, and all my access needs have been met.
Thank you. Interactive arts. Caleb EM on transit and data is pretty weak, so might be disconnected. Otherwise, all access needs are met. Thank you. ESA. Education.
Hi, my name is Shivali. My pronouns are she, her, and all my access needs are met. Thank you.
Thank you. ESSU.
Hi everyone, Grayson Bark here. He, him pronouns. All my access needs are met. Thank you.
You. Archaeology. Archaeology. Okay, seeing none. Geography.
My name is Jeffrey. All access needs are met.
Thank you. HSUSU. HSUSU.
Hi guys. Can you hear me? So?
Yes. SAS. Science. There's no sense. BNSS. BSU biology.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nick. My pronouns are he, him, his, and all my access needs have been met.
Biomedical physiology.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Mariam, pronouns she, her, and all of my accessibility needs have been met.
Data science.
Hey guys, Pranay here. Pronouns he, him, his. All access needs are met.
Thank you. Earth science. Earth science. Mathematics. Miss UREP, pronouns EM, all access needs are met. Thank you. MBB. Everyone, Ariana here. She, her pronouns will be typing in chat. Otherwise, needs are met tonight. Thank you. Moving on to CG's DNA. Thank you. FNMISA.
Hey everyone, Chris here. He, him pronouns, all access needs met.
Thank you. Soka.
Hey everyone, my name is Emmanuel. All access needs are met.
Thank you. RHA.
Hi everyone, and my access needs have been met.
Thank you. As a bird.
Hi, it's Rebecca. She, they pronouns, and all my access needs are met.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to execs, VP Equity. VP Equity.
Hi, my name is Chloe. All my access needs are met.
Thank you. VP Events, I didn't see him come in the chat.
I'm here. My name is Citrange. He, him, his. All access needs are.
Okay, thank you. VP External.
Joel, he, his pronouns, access needs are met.
Thank you. VP Finance.
Hi, my name is Simmer, she, her pronouns. All access needs are met. I'm just sick right now with the flu and a migraine, so I'm gonna be more so listening.
Thank you. VP Internal.
Hi, my name is Sam. My pronouns are he, him, and all my access needs are met.
Thank you.
As long as the system works.
VP University.
Hi, name is Rishi, pronouns he, him, all access needs are met.
OM.
And there she, her pronouns, access needs are met.
I believe policies. Policy.
Hi everyone, my name is Araba H. True. She, her pronouns, all access needs are met.
Okay, admin assistant. Everyone, sorry, EM, all access needs are met. Thank you. Then myself, President EM is, access needs are met. Okay, yes. Okay. Yes. Testing. Hello.
You might have
Testing.
to say like a big longer sentence.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
Yeah.
Great. Awesome. Lit. Okay, good. It looks like it's working. Okay. Moving on. We have consent agenda. Be resolved to adopt the consent agenda by unanimous consent. Okay. Today we have minutes from, I believe, previous council and many minutes. And then we also have ratification of regrets from TSSU counselor and labor studies, and then I'll be amending on regrets from philosophy counselor, environmental management counselor, of earth science counselor, econ counselor, chemistry counselor, behavioral neuroscience counselor, women's center counselor, and I believe that is it. So yes, seeking unanimous consent for this. Seeing no dissent. That is carried unanimously. Moving on to the adoption of the agenda. Here is of to adopt the agenda as presented. I move. I need a seconder.
Second.
VP Equity seconds. Floor is open for list and amendments. You wanted to go first. SAS and then sus.
Yeah, I want to move to postpone presentation item 6.1 and the corresponding new business item.
Okay, I'm guessing you move.
Yes.
I second. Anyone opposed to this postponement? Okay, seeing none, that is amended on, sus. Sus,
Sorry, just want to say that I am here. I'm driving right now, so I didn't get the time to unmute earlier, but she, her pronouns and all access needs met.
okay, please, admin, could we have that noted? Anyone, other list or amendments to the agenda for today? Okay, I do not see any, so I will seek unanimous consent, to adopt the agenda as amended.
Science Undergraduate Study Counselor, I had heard that there was a presentation that might be added today from SAS. Is that being added?
Catherine?
She is driving as well.
Yeah, I know, it's on
Oh.
Zoom. You have to come back to her.
Okay,
You can amend it. Didn't we just pass the agenda?
I didn't.
Oh, do you want to amend like a tentative presentation for her?
No.
I was just wanting to ask.
You can amend it on and then we can skip it.
Anyone else who's in SAS, any of the other science counselors, do you know the fresh presentation was going to be added today?
There's no motion. There's no sus motion, so I don't see why there would be a presentation. Okay. Okay, I will just move on. I don't know what sus is up to.
Just move on and suspend the rules if needed.
Again, seeking unanimous consent to adopt the agenda as amended. Okay, seeing no dissent, motion is carried. Moving on to presentation, I have a presentation from CSSS. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Am I able to share my screen right now?
Yes, you do have to give them everything.
Micah, can you share your screen or do we have to give you permissions?
Hold on, I think I can.
Yeah, there you go.
Yay, can you all see?
Yes.
Wonderful, give me 1 second. Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Micah, and I'll be presenting the CSSS Frosh Grant presentation. So I guess to start, you might be wondering, who are we? We are the Computing Science Student Society, and I am the CSSS's counselor, as well as co-chairing this year's Frosh Week with our president, Isabel. Little fun fact, both of us actually ran Frosh Week last year. So we're running it again this year. It was a blast last year. Pretty decent success. We had 50 student volunteers to help us run the events, as well as a grand total of 300 Froshies. So that was a pretty good success. This year, our theme is Frosh in Wonderland, sort of to encapsulate like the entering of a mystery in university, new land for our new students. So I guess now I'm going to just start off this presentation with giving an overview of all our different events, as well as the costs incurred from each event and what they sort of entail. So most of these are the same as last year's. Yeah. So the first event of the week is our orientation event. We'll be giving a welcome speech as well as some ice cream to our frashies. We'll be inviting members from our faculty as well as staff and our leaders. So it'll start off with a nice presentation about what the rest of the week entails, followed by some sort of mingling and ice cream, which is pretty delicious. So the main cost here is, in fact, snacks and drinks. On Tuesday, we have our mountain hike. So, I mean, as CS students, we don't really touch grass that much, so got to go outside a little bit. So we go from the east of campus to west of campus. Once we get there, we're going to play some games and eat some food, delivered pizza, as well as some snacks and drinks, and some outdoor games. On Wednesday, we've got our Pac Macro event, which is a little bit historical. It's essentially Pac-Man, but played in real life. We bring our frashies out to university, and they play on their app as Pac-Man and the Ghosts, and basically play a game of tag where they can see the locations of everyone else using GPS. So that's super fun. I coded it last year. I'm going to be improving it this year, so that's super cool. Main cost here is snacks and drinks as well, sort of refreshments in between the games. On Thursday, this is one of our more expensive events. We'll be hosting a barbecue dinner where our volunteer leaders will be preparing hot dogs and snacks and drinks for our frashies. We'll be bringing them down to the barbecues in groups, and then they'll be able to return to play board games, sort of mingle, talk with whoever else they've met throughout the week. And then Friday is our big show, Midnight Madness. This is our overnight event. We've got food, games, and multiple social events. And of course, it is the big ticket item of this grant request. These are some photos from last year's Midnight Madness. It was quite busy. We had to rally up all of our student leaders to make sure it happened. We had a lot of fun different events. We started off with relay races, poster competition. We even had a Slurpee competition, dodgeball, karaoke. And in the top right up here, you can see all of our leaders standing strong. Additional expenses we will have for Frosh Week include merchandise for shirts and prizes, some printing costs for banners and flyers, as well as survival guides that we give to our froshies, some food supplies, such as napkins and utensils, cleaning supplies, and contingency in case any of our costs do go overboard. To make this a little bit easier to understand, I did prepare a pie graph for what is our biggest costs for the event. As you can see, a big chunk of it is merchandise, and then Midnight Madness, our barbecue, and the rest is for our smaller events. You might be thinking, it sounds like a lot. Surely we've taken some safety precautions, and yes, we have. The first of which, all of our committee members have attended a sexual violence support and prevention office meeting to make sure that all events can happen safely and we can guide our leaders to just be safe pretty much. And our overnight event, we will be having attended entirely by security and medical personnel, as well as we will have a contact with a faculty member for any additional help or guidance, such as unlocking rooms, etc. And then lastly, for multiple committee members have food safe certificates, and they'll be present at all times when food is served. And that brings me to my last slide. Trying to keep it quick because it is exam season. What makes Frosh so important? I personally think there's 4 major pillars, at least for our CSSS Frosh Week. The first is the transition from high school to university life. Frosh is the first big social event that our Froshies go through. Secondly, we've got the engagement factor. I mean, me personally, Frosh is where I met all of my close friends. So Frosh is a really engaging way for our students to really meet each other and sort of throw them into the woods. Additionally, the CS committee at SFU, it's quite engaged. SFU has the slogan of being the most engaged university. I'll go ahead and throw out there, we're one of the most engaged student unions, but you don't have to believe that if you don't want to. Frosh nourishes this. It connects students of all years together, our volunteers with our Froshies. And lastly, Frosh sort of provides a lot of volunteering opportunities to our upper year students, but also to our incoming students who might actually end up being interested as volunteering for executive positions and other volunteer roles in the CSSS after sort of enjoying this one event. And that actually concludes my presentation. So I want to open the floor for any questions.
Thank you, Micah. Great graphics.
Thank you.
Questions, Sam?
How much did the event cost last year when you ran it?
Cost was much more. I think it was 11,500. So we're aware the SFSS is trying to keep costs lower this time around. So we did our best effort to cut things down. We cut out, if I go back here, Thursday, last year's Wednesday was the barbecue dinner and Thursday was an entire other dinner. We essentially cut out the entire event just to keep costs a little bit lower. So 11,500 was last year's.
I just had a quick general question. Sorry for my voice again. Is there anything specifically needed for the overnight part of things, like any consent forms or any type of procedural stuff? I'm not sure I've had a club event, like familiar with one that's gone overnight, so I was just wondering.
Yeah, I'm not familiar if there's any SFSS procedures for overnight events, but at least for faculty, we're making sure that we have security there. We're making sure we have all spaces booked overnight. And I think the Frashi sign up portion, we do ask for consent. But also at all times, you're welcome to leave. We make sure that our Frashis are aware for the last bus times for leaving campus safely. And we also have several sleeping rooms throughout the night that will be attended by our volunteers. So if students don't actually want to stay up 24 hours, which is quite a lot, obviously, they can go to bed, and our leaders make sure that those spaces are safe and attended to.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Question, what spaces are these taking place for the overnight part?
Primarily in the Applied Science Building and the AQ South Hallway.
VP Equity?
Yeah, this is a very well-run event. I liked all the pictures. It was a great presentation.
Thank you.
I also wanted to say that I appreciated the safety precautions. That's not usually standard in a presentation for these kinds of events, but I thought it was, very helpful in crossing off a lot of concerns that we might have had. So props to you guys, and I hope that the event goes well. Are we allowed to poke around? Can we show up?
Oh yeah, totally. Please show up.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, feel free. We will have lots of food. So I mean, at midnight we're going to be giving out pizza, and then in the morning we've got breakfast. So feel free to poke around. It's totally open doors.
Okay, great. Henry, and then I will be moving on.
I just wanted to highlight that this presentation was, echo most of people's voices where it's a good presentation. They have history of conducting events like these in the past, and it has gone well. And not only when VP Internal was asked how much the event was last year, but not only are they holding the same type of event, but they have cut down the cost as well. So I think that is really nice of them.
It is appreciated.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you for highlighting that. Yeah, it was a little bit of a struggle.
Great. Thank you, Micah. I will be moving on.
Thank you so much.
Okay, moving on to reports. I don't think there's, well, I will not jump the gun, but are there any executive reports? Sure. You right? Yeah. So, the past few weeks, I've been chatting with C0, who has taken over the interim executive director for Student Services, which was previously held by Tracy Mason. So, their team, mostly health and counseling, they're working on, I'm pretty sure everybody is aware of my SSP, and there will be a awareness campaign for my SSP that will be held in fall, probably second week, I guess. I'm not sure about the timeline, but
I have made commitments to help them out in that awareness campaign. Secondly, working with it's not the best names. Working with Tammy Nesrick and Liz Lamar, who are the head of health and counseling. I will be providing them with some SFSS perspectives on what we need from them, increase in physicians and counselors, because as much mental health support that we can provide, we're just pushing for that. There will be a third thing is there will be an SVSPO campaign, which will be under CJO, and I have also this will be mostly in December, and also one in September 3rd week, and I have made commitments to help them with this campaign as well. There's another campaign that they are willing to, they are looking forward to do, and they are supporting this is with no lock zone training, so that they can provide no lock zone training to as many people as they can. I'm pretty sure most people know about what no lock zone is. So without getting much into details, that's mostly with student services. Still working with SFU staff to get a clearer picture on what the restructuring is looking like. Still the chief of staff, James, don't remember the last name, but he has provided a clearer picture, but it's still very vague because departments are responsible for making sure their lists are updated. And apart from that, I've been working on various committees, such as the SFU committee, such as Robinson Oliver Awards Committee, giving the SFSS perspective on that. There is. So we can't really. Yeah, I'm on the committee, which is the undergraduate student in research. This committee is starting in September, and we are looking to broaden research opportunities for all undergrad students at SFU. Working with Dr. Valerie Crooks, who is the assistant research at SFU. Yeah, enrollment appeals committee providing a student leader perspective on that. And yes, that's mostly what I've been up to the last month or so.
Great, thank you. Any other execs have anything you wanted to share? Start.
I could open my calendar.
Just to provide some, like, build off of what Risha was talking about, hopefully if people in your DSUs or CGs are wondering like what health and counseling and student services like are looking like, or things are being like moved around, getting confusing, hopefully Risha will be able to keep us all updated once SFU settles down. So if people are asking questions, we'll try and keep you guys up to date on that.
Okay, thank you. Did you have something to add?
Yep. Last couple of weeks has mostly just been working on sponsorships for the fall kickoff. I think that's been a big focus for me. Did my actual work as well with Surrey City Councilor yesterday. Brought up some issues around safety on the Surrey campus. Met with one of the candidates for NDP, attended one of SFU NDP events happening at the South. Always open to working with student groups on campus if they have any events where they want us to meet candidates and like bring up student issues. Otherwise, just a bunch of stuff that like executives need to deal with, so like hiring and other working groups internally.
Great, thank you. We can try.
Yeah, I've been working a lot on the ongoing work with restructuring. I was away for most of last week and was just been supporting a few of the other events. I attended the meeting with Surrey City Council with Joel and Bill Kickoff. We've started marketing. I expect to see it on everyone's Instagrams.
Great. VP Finance, VP Events, do you have any executive updates?
I can throw in a few. Very busy couple of weeks working on towards a lot of ongoing projects, majorly the month of welcome events, which includes the fall kickoff, as Sam said. And yes, please share the video. I'll put the link in the chat in a minute. And we're trying to create a mystery around it, and we are hoping that the event is unveiled by the end of this week. And apart from that, I was working on ordering the merch for the year. Couple of things here and there, meetings regarding the events, but yeah, it's pretty much just that.
Thank you.
And my biggest update is the investment policy stuff that's been going on. We're starting to actually go into the drafting phase where myself with the finance coordinators are starting to draft the different things that we want to change on there. Again, there's a few more people that I want to meet with before putting out the final policy before we go to FASC with it. Also, I'm just working with some of the clubs, DSUs for grant requests, and I've been working with some of them to help put their events on, such as PSA. That's all I can really think of right now. Oh yeah, and then that tracker that I'm trying to create right now, getting that going. Also within ourselves as an organization, and this comes with the investment policy, some of our agreements are coming up, for example, like our loan agreements. So just seeing what is the best practice for where we want to go about that with our internal banking.
Great, thank you. UA?
Yeah, I just forgot to mention a few things. I have talked to student services about bringing back sanitary product. I don't know, bringing back, or this is the first time this is gonna happen. I know SFP used to do it before, so bringing back free sanitary products to all SFP bathrooms and maybe introducing them to the student union building bathrooms as well. Yeah, also the goals to discuss academic priorities.
Great. Yeah, and I think for me, I will keep it very brief, but it's been a lot of meetings. And then also my usual duties as SLO, so doing that. And then sitting on most of the other things with the other positions as well. So I won't repeat some of those things that's already been mentioned. Yeah, and then a big one for us is also concluding our management processes. Council could expect to get some updates, a more concrete update from us within the next few weeks. Yeah, we're hoping to move forward with that. We have a couple of things coming up for the fall semester, so just working on that as well. And yeah, we also have our I don't know how much people know about, but we have a collective agreement that's also expiring that we have coming up that we have to address soon as well. So those are some things that are in the works. And yeah. But I will move on to management update if there's any. Okay. I don't think there's any significant committee updates from what I know. So I will move on to new businesses.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So the outreach committee I think it was the last meeting, we have finally established a TikTok account and should be up and running in a few days.
Great. It's actually something that I wanted to bring up to our that's later. Okay, new business, 10.1. It's for the adoption of the AVP policy. Where the current council policy makes reference to R17, Associate Vice President. Whereas the current council policy R17 does not elaborate on the roles, responsibility, and the checks and balances for the office of the AVPs or Associate Vice Presidents. Whereas substantive changes are required to incorporate the roles, responsibility, and checks and balances of the office of the Associate Vice Presidents to ensure it conforms with the society's bylaws. Be resolved that council adopts the proposed addition to R17 Associate Vice President as attached. I move. I need a seconder.
CSA seconds.
CSA second. Floor is open for discussion. Again, this was the motion that was the motion notice from I believe 2 weeks ago. You should have all received an email about this policy. So now's the time for questions or comments if you have any. If you turn.
Governance did a long review of this policy. Staff did a long review. Its current form has been looked at by all of us. Put a lot of work into it. Not really much else to say for me.
Yes. DP external.
Was there any review comments that came up within the consultation period or like any changes that were suggested?
Yeah, I think the changes that were suggested were just clarifying points. So for all counselors, just clarifications around titles, limitations of how many AVPs executives can have. The process, if there's any concerns from those AVPs, who they go to. So they go to OCEO now. And then just kind of their roles and duties and their tasks have been clarified. Their eligibility process and how to check that have been clarified here. And just more things of like, if they're brought with the camera, what they can and cannot be exposed to. Having to sign confidentiality agreements. Meetings have conflict resolution. I think that was it. It was just kind of expanding on the existing points that were not clarified in the past.
So is that the updated version that is after the consultation within the last 2 weeks? Is that on the website right now?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry, where do we find this?
It should be in your email.
It's in your email and on the website.
We'll take a peek.
Any other comments? Okay, seeing none, I will move to vote. I'm gonna seek unanimous consent on this one. If you wish to abstain or dissent, please signify. Seeing none, motion is carried unanimously. 10.2 has been stricken off. I will move on to 10.3. Whereas the SFU CSSS plans to hold the Frosh Week event from September 9th to September 14th to welcome new computer science students at SFU, whereas CSSS successfully hosted Frosh Week for the last 20 years, whereas they need financial support above what staff and admin can approve, whereas they're requesting $8,850 to support their event. Be resolved that council approves spending up to, I don't know what that's the next month, but up to an X amount from line item 500/G to go towards supporting this event. I move. I need a seconder.
Me too.
Floor is open for lists and amendments. Keep in turn.
I was gonna move to amend it to strike X and replace it with the amount that was discussed in the presentation. I believe it's 8,850.
My second, anyone opposed? I see none, amended on. Bowen?
Yeah, I just wanted to provide clarification on the process, explaining grants, because I think this is the first appeal that's coming to us. So to clarify, the grant pool for all student unions comes out of the same pool for all student unions. So if it's under a certain threshold, our coordinators look through it after a certain threshold and our VP of finance, and then it could go to execs, or if it's a larger threshold, it comes to council. So keeping in mind that grants are not intended to cover the expenses of the entire event, it's supposed to help subsidize the event. So this is just general grants. And so usually the process, and this is the correct process, there was a grant that was submitted through the portal that was reviewed, sent to VP Finance, the president, myself, for revision. The coordinator provides a recommendation, and then it comes to council if there's more amount that's required. So for this particular one, that was followed. And the process for that going forward is usually VP Finance or myself will provide the recommendation, let you know what that was, and then council makes the final decision. So how this is usually reviewed is based on our funding guidelines, which is available on the website, and that was a document that was approved by council in the past. So for this one, the amount that was allocated based on the funding guideline was $2,650. A large limitation on that was in the funding guidelines, it's a $500 limit for food. So without that limit, the coordinator recommended making it $3,000 for food, which brings the total recommendation to $5,150. So just letting you know, as that is our obligation to tell you what the recommended amount was based on the funding guidelines, and then giving it up to council to make the final decision.
What was the recommended amount again?
So based on the funding guidelines, it was $2,650, but noting that food seems to be the largest cost here, so I think that's half the cost.
Right.
The coordinator recommended removing that limitation, so then bringing it up to $5,150.
So how did we arrive at that number?
That's covering the entire event.
I see. Why weren't we presented with that number as well? Of what was proposed?
This is the recommendation based on our funding guidelines.
Correct.
So the grant can be whatever amount, and then we tell the student unions what is granted based on the funding guidelines.
Right.
And provide a recommendation to your VP Finance and yourself too.
But that doesn't come to council?
So the recommendation is $5,150.
Right.
So if that's approved, then yes, it comes to council. If the approved amount from your end is $2,650, then it's approved internally. But since they're requesting the full $8,500, that's coming to council as an appeal.
I see. Okay. VP Equity?
So one of the concerns that I've had around this process is that by the time it comes to council, it's already an appeal process, correct? But there's been some friction in the past with staff regarding the fact that it seems like we're going above their head when it comes to things, because we're not aware of the criticisms or guidelines or limitations. So in terms of like, I think what Emmanuel is asking is why do we not know that information beforehand? Would it be helpful to have a staff typically attend if we know there's going to be like a funding issue?
Yeah, so This usually, grant requests above a certain threshold usually come to me, VP Finance primarily, and the president. So once again, if there's an appeal, that's what I'm reaching for. The process going forward, if it's brought to council, myself or VP Finance will let council know what the recommended amount was, and then it's up to council to make the final decision.
And was that what you were basically just doing?
Yeah, so this would be the process. Anytime there's a grant that comes to council, I'll go over the breakdown that was approved based on the funding guidelines and provide the recommendation, and then leave it up to council to approve the final.
Did you have some?
Yeah, 2 points. One was like the direct response. Would it be possible to have those like funding breakdowns and everything as an addendum to the agenda when it gets sent out to council, so we have an opportunity to look at it before like we vote on something, like just be fully informed. And then the second point was, is it blanking? What was I about to say? Yeah, is there, since it's a given pool and we know like grants is our biggest expense, do we do anything to like cut down on the grants budget during the year, and like how much is the total grants budget that this is coming out of?
Yeah, so I think that's why we have the funding guidelines that was in place, and it's up to council again to review that process, so that it's kind of an equal pool amongst all student unions, and to subsidize the cost, not cover the entire cost. We don't necessarily always have the real-time budget because people submit their checkbooks after the fact. But at the start of the term, it's 150K for the entire year. And a lot of that does come through council if it's over a certain threshold.
Sorry.
Is it a list or
Direct response.
Go ahead.
I do believe a lot of that is spent in full on these kinds of events, so that is typical.
5%.
Direct response.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the 2 biggest granting periods that things potentially go over the threshold that staff usually approve and get grant appeals are in the immediate fall and then in the very beginning of the spring semester as well.
You should let Micah go.
Sorry.
VP event and then Mike.
Yeah, I just want to mention here that I've actually gone through the whole budget for this grant request, and as an events point of view, I do see that the amount they have outlined and kept aside, of course, is pretty valid for the scale of the event they are organizing. And I do see that the whole process has been followed, and the recommended amount from the guidelines is lower than what they request. But one thing that we need to consider is FROSH is one of the biggest events for all societies under SFSS, and this is like one of the key moments in any new student's college life or university life, and I don't see any issue approving amount settled in the motion at this point.
Direct response?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I think the thinking that, oh, this event is different, so that's okay to spend over the funding guideline is how we go massively over our grant budget in the first place. So I just want to point that out.
Okay. Did you?
Yeah, I was gonna say once again, it's the intention of grants. Remember, it's to subsidize the event, not to cover the entire cost. But as Sam mentioned as well, FROSH is typically a place where it does come to council, and we do approve more than what is recommended most of the time. So just a few things to keep in mind, just because FROSH tends to be more expensive, and that's usually what we still continue with. So.
Okay. Micah.
I mainly just wanted to say, I think staff just said sometimes like it can seem like it goes over staff's head to get these things approved. I think
No,
that's
that was VP Equity.
VP Equity. We actually submitted our grant, I think July 2nd. And I think it's by policy, you're expected to wait at least 20 business days, or sorry, at most 20 business days to hear back from staff. And we've actually still been waiting. So we're trying to actually get this to move so we can actually make progress on funding our event. But unfortunately, me and Chitraj, we actually had to send like 3 emails this up. We still haven't heard back. So I just wanted to mention that.
Simmer?
Yeah, I just wanted to say out loud what I kind of said in what I put in the chat. I think it was Joel who was talking about like how when grants come and go, how we know how much to provide. Not only do we compare it to the 150 total, but I have a sheet from last year, and if I can find it, I can share it about each DSU's spending. I think Samaya had created it, and what I do is just compare it to that because of course we want to be less than last year. Keep in mind, I think that some of CSSS's, or at least one of them, had been denied earlier on the year, just keeping in mind of our budget cuts. So this grant would be a pretty important one for their frosh. The only other thing is, I think, just like Sindhu mentioned, I wanted to ask a quick question just for confirmation. Their original grant amount that they requested was 8,000. I think it was 8,800, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
And then the amount that we subsidized is close to 2,000.
I think we were willing to go to 5,150.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, that was the part I missed. But yeah, just emphasizing Sindhu's point of for grants, we're granting them like subsidizing. We're not fully covering the event, but yeah, 2,000 was a little lower, so I just wanted to confirm that.
He's asking for the full 8,000.
Correct.
They're comfortable. The staff recommendation is 5,000.
Correct.
But
Right.
okay, I just wanted to say that there's been an effort amongst executive and also some of the counselors to help provide DSUs with some information and support in looking for sponsorships and how to ask for sponsorships, how to ask your faculties for money to throw events like this. Just taking into consideration our limitations as a society when it comes to helping support DSUs with these things. I totally understand that an event this scale is difficult and the amount of funding that it requires is pretty intense. I'm comfortable with voting in favor of this and like having them throw their event, especially because it's cutting it quite close. But we do want to see DSUs sort of trying new avenues, like asking people with a little bit more money than us for at least a little bit of money, do you know what I mean? Just so that we're not covering an entire event every time. So I appreciate the scale of this event and how important it is and how well run it is. So I'm definitely comfortable voting in favor today. But just having everybody keep that in mind as their DSUs are talking about what kind of events they want to throw this year. That there are also other people to ask, and you should try seeing where you can, poke around and get some money so that when you bring it to council or when you bring it to staff, your grant can either get passed right away or it's not such a big sort of impact on our grant budget for the year.
Thank you, Chloe. I want to acknowledge the list from the math counselor. They seem to be in support of this. And they mentioned again the fact that CSSS was able to cut off some cost. They think they deserve the full amount they're asking for. So I guess they're speaking in favor of this. I see FNMISA and then VP External, VP Internal, and then ISSA and then Geography. Okay, Chris, go ahead. Oh, and then Micah, you need a last list. FNMISA, go. Oh.
I had a response.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry for interrupting you like that. I just don't know if we're gonna have a better time for me to mention this. I feel that the discussions around DSUs as like asking for money somewhere else is really important, but I would really much appreciate also seeing council when we are discussing this budget to have more information maybe from the finance committee on the general budget that has been spent already and how we are gonna actually invest in new events throughout the year. I feel that that's a direct response just because she brought the fact that they need to ask for money at somewhere else, and we also need to understand more about the money we have spent before going over the budget like this. So I think it fits the same discussion, and I'd like to mention that.
So are you suggesting something like a semesterly budget update or review?
Yes, every time we're gonna talk about finances, have something brought from the finance committee because they are actually always supervising that kind of stuff. So it would be really interesting to have that.
Do you have that response? Go ahead.
Just as a note on that one, there's some policy pieces around doing some more financial reporting on the topic as on the general financial situation at the time. We were doing a lot of talking about finance at the beginning, but we can definitely have the committee do more.
Okay. FNMISA, go ahead.
Yeah, so all in all, I mean, given how long this event has been going on, you know, I don't think it's misspent money at all. I will say from experience organizing the FNMISA powwow for the last 2 years, we have got over $20,000 in scholarships directly from SFU from certain departments. Through sponsorship, we've asked money from the city of Burnaby. And so there is, you definitely can ask, you know, other areas of SFU for money, because I'm sure people will be willing to provide it. I mean, even if it's $500 or $250 or buying drinks for the event or buying food for the event could subsidize some of the money that is needed to be spent for events like this. But I just wanted to let you know that, you know, our event, you know, we did ask last year, we did get 1,500, but last year we brought in, I think, close to $30,000 in sponsorships. So, you know, there are other ways to, you know, get money.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris. VP External.
Just a reminder, this being the first grant, I'm assuming $8,000, the full amount being coming out of that line item, which is 150. That amounts for about 5% of the money. So.
Sorry, any grant that's under a certain amount has been continuously approved by the student union team already. So it's not to say this is the first grant of the term.
No, it's come to council as an appeal. Yeah, but that would be 5% of the 150. That's our grant budget.
Sure.
Is that right?
I'm sure it's about 9K.
It'd be around 6 or 7%.
Okay, so that's something to keep in mind going forward for like a bunch of events after. And based on the sponsorships for food that Chris brought up, I'd be happy to work with Micah on getting some food sponsorships. I've had some offers from sponsors already. We could take a look at that.
VP Intern.
Yeah, I was just gonna talk a little bit about how this event has been run historically and continuing in this year's Frosh events do require significant support from council, and I don't think that's a bad thing for this kind of event. It's doing a big beginning of year thing within the faculties. We've done things like kickoff, we try to show us we already care about large scale events for our first year students. Getting some stuff big at the beginning of the year always helps with engagement for the rest of the year. In my previous experience with student unions, I always found that the people who are interested in get recruited both into the student union and into like student life at the university in events like this. stick around and end up really doing a lot of stuff. So I would say that it's a worthwhile investment.
Thank you. Geography.
I just wanted to ask, the CSSS counselor, how much money they've gotten from SFU or their department or their faculty.
CSSS.
At present, we have not received, or at least have not been confirmed an amount. Faculty has been giving us less money this year since last year, because although the SFSS does also have money problems, so does SFU, unfortunately.
You have a follow-up? Okay. I believe it was, let's see. Go ahead.
Okay, I wanna make this quick, it's just a suggestion for CSSS. If possible, to have a backup plan for the food, cause you are asking for increase in the amount that is already regulated by SFSS. So if, I would just like to know if you have any plan, for like food waste, and if you don't, just suggest you to have one. Would be really interested to know that you're not wasting any food in case, as you're not also asking for a larger amount, but because it's a lot of food, would be great to see that. Thank you.
Yeah, can I respond?
Go ahead.
Yeah, food wastage, this is a pretty, I think, fun question. All of our food has been eaten in the past, even from last year's grant, which was much larger than this year's grant. But food wastage management, we have historically just left it in our common room, and within like 2 days, our common room residents do eat it. So that's mainly our food wastage plan. In the past, however, there is a community fridge. I believe it's in the, I'm forgetting where the location is. It might be the Maggie Benson Center. We have dropped it off there in the past as well when there is quite an excessive amount of food that does not fit in our common room.
Okay. The list?
Yeah.
Okay. Not yet. I believe Sharon was next. Are we taking
Yep.
votes, everyone on this issue? I'll get to that shortly. We're still on discussions right now. Next I see Micah, and then I'll do Ariana's.
Yeah, I wanted to drop a note, at least on the amount of the funding, since I am hearing a lot of recommendations for seeking sponsorships, and our executive team is working very hard to try and get sponsorships. Unfortunately, as computer science students, who I think are notoriously not very socially inclined, we're not the most talented at finding sponsorships, and the tech industry itself is quite churning right now. But we've made efforts in other aspects. We have decreased the cost of this event by, I think, 20%, 30% from last year, which I think is quite significant considering the number of attendees to it, which was 300 through the week last year, which is 10% of our department, which is quite a large amount. And that was about, I think, 50% or 60% of first years that came in that year. That is a lot of people, and it's quite expensive to feed that number of people. So I think it's quite difficult to nearly impossible to try and run an event at the scale that we have historically for the past 2 decades with just $5,000.
Yes, thank you, Micah. I believe this is also a question for you, to Liz from Ariana. It says, is the merch planning for just Frosh Week, or is this merch designed to be kept for later on in the term? She suggests that if it's perhaps something that will not be reused, I'm guessing you should order a smaller amount, but I'm guessing you could provide clarity on when the merch is for.
Yeah, totally. The merchandise is t-shirts for our Froshies, and unfortunately, it's a lot of money because there is a lot of Froshies. So this is just for Frosh. We're hoping that should shirt prices be cheap, because we are ordering such a large number, we're hoping to get about 200 shirts for our Froshies, and we're actually only handing them out during Midnight Madness to make the number of shirts less. Last year we handed them out at the beginning of the week. This year, we're hoping to just hand it out to people that show up to Midnight Madness. So that's already an effort to try and decrease the amount of merch we're ordering. Yeah, it's unfortunately just for Frosh because of the number of people. And there won't be waste. It will be given to our Froshies.
Okay. Thank you. Geography?
Sindhu, you said you had a breakdown on where the CSSS grant deviates from the funding guidelines. What does that look like?
Yeah, so I think, for example, the merchandise request was 2,750, and based on the funding guidelines, the amount that we could provide is 1,450. I think we're giving $100 for supplies. That's granted. I think it was just like, food was 4,300-ish, and that's where we're making it 3,000. And I think those were the bigger pieces. For security medical, it was 350, and we're giving the full 350. So I think that's the breakdown. And I think there's a $1,000 contingency fund, which we usually don't provide, but if there's a breakdown for that, then we're happy to evaluate that separately as well.
Any follow-up, Jeffrey?
Yeah, I'm just wondering how disastrous it'd be if the funding guidelines were followed on this event, including the extra food things. Do you have sufficient core and trust to cover that?
May I respond?
Was that for Micah?
Yeah.
Oh, Micah, go ahead.
Yeah, if it's brought down to $5,000, we're probably going to have to cancel at least one or two of the events that are taking place. Regarding core funding, we do run a lot of events through the year, and we do not really have that sort of wiggle room to cover several $1,000s if this grant isn't. So we would need to, the disastrous consequences, to use those words, would be canceling some of the events. And considering we already did cancel one of the more expensive events from last year, that's going to cut down the event by quite a bit.
Okay, thank you. Sindhu?
Yeah, in terms of the 10% for the core funding, I think it was $885 that was allocated, but just like a reminder to everyone, all grants in the future, we're just going to provide this breakdown, but it's completely you'd like to proceed. If there's another number in mind, however you'd like to proceed, UK Finance will likely just start tracking the overage or spending in a tracker going forward. So yeah, so completely up to council. I'll just always do the breakdown based on the funding guidelines.
FNMI side?
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of add on to my point. I mean, when it comes to the sponsorship from SFU, I do agree. We did get far less money from SFU and their different organizations from the first year to the second year. So yeah, I mean, reach out to, departments and different areas of SFU, but yeah, given SFU is kind of in a money crunch, getting money from them, may be a little bit more difficult than it typically is. Just wanted to add on.
Yeah. Similar direct response.
Yeah, I think Sindhu mentioned the tracker that I've been working on. That's exactly for this reason. So just for reference, last year, just at February, like mid-February, we had a report of the spending up until that day, and we were at $172,000. So again, we did go over our budget last year. Last year, CSSS did receive one of the biggest grant amount compared, but they are a bigger club with the most members, so that is likely to happen. That's not the problem. It's just that we want to be cutting the costs. I do understand that Chloe has mentioned that this event is coming up so close, so cutting their costs would lead them in a space where they wouldn't really know how to get the remaining money so quick. But yeah, just moving forward, I would maybe argue that this event is okay to go through, but it may impact other grant funding that they may receive as a club throughout the year, because again, I'm going to be looking at it not only per club, but per total. And so, yeah, in the future, we can work on like sponsorships and we can work on different ways to allocate that and have a grant be more of a subsidy. But yeah, that's all I really wanted to say.
Thank you. VP Events has a direct response and then CSSS.
I'm just gonna mention that when amount is approved in the council, it's an up to amount, and I'm sure CSFS, as per my last conversation, is working on sponsorship and cutting costs on their end. But I believe our last conversation they stated that they need this amount passed to be able to move forward with the event and be able to make the setup. And just so we are on the same page here, that we only reimburse invoices anyway. And personally, looking at the expense sheet that they provided me, I do not see there's much room for wiggle in terms of over expenditure or things that they can overspend on.
Okay, thank you. I know some people might not have heard that, but from what I got, it was mentioned the fact that the motion itself says that it's an up to amount, that there's still ways to work closely with these groups to not spend the full amount. And then he also mentions that he's looked at the expense sheet that this group created, and he says he doesn't have a problem with it. CSSS.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate what Chitransh just said. Yeah, $1,000, for example, in the grant is contingency. So that amount is actually, it doesn't go to anything in particular. It's sort of a backup in case of an emergency. Like imagine we had to pay extra shipping or certain food was really late and we had to buy something else immediately. So it's not actually like 100% that we're going to use that amount. In fact, it's more likely that we wouldn't use the contingency. And that sort of goes to, I think, a lot of cases, a lot of parts of the grant. This is exactly an up to amount. So we're not going to take exactly 8,850. It's probably going to be closer to 8,000 or 7,800. But it's to be safe to make sure that we don't just show up empty-handed and have like 300 people that are just hungry and begging for food and we don't have anything. And we'd have to pay out of our pockets. And then I actually wanted to respond to another thing from, I think it was Samar, for in the future sponsorships. CSSS has been sort of panicking and working really hard to try and get sponsorships. So that is definitely one of our major priorities right now. We've been recently working on constitutional amendments, and we actually made it the vice president's role to now reach out to sponsors and sort of maintain those connections. So moving forward, we are hoping to have a much better chance of sponsorship for our events.
Great, thank you. Direct response?
Yeah, I think this is a good sort of discussion to have for everybody. You know, this is one of the first times we've done this term. These discussions are pretty standard throughout every council year, so it's good that everybody's sort of getting an example of the kinds of things that they need to bring to the table when we're having these things. CSSS, I think you guys did an amazing job. I suggest that we move on, or the president call the question on this. I think that we all have a pretty good understanding of how this works now, and I think that anybody who's looking for support in terms of sponsorships, yes, please feel free to reach out to execs. Chitransh, thank you for helping them out, and I hope that, you know, we can make this happen, and I hope it goes well.
Yeah, I have 3 more lists, so I will accommodate it, and then I will move on after that. Ayo, go ahead.
Yeah, I just had a quick question for Micah, then I was gonna comment. Would this basically serve as the applied sciences Frosh?
No, this is the CSSS's Frosh.
So primarily CSS.
Yeah. We are having some SOCI students or the SOCI Froshies show up for Midnight Madness, but separate to that, they are running their own event. If this was a joint event, for example, for last year, we had ESSS collaborate for Midnight Madness for, I think, a decent chunk of it. It would be more.
Okay, sure. In that case, then I think I'm good.
Thank you. CSSS, I think this is also a question for you. Do you have a contingency plan in case the total grant amount you requested is not approved?
Our contingency plan in that case is to reduce our events and sort of constrict at least the amount of food that we're giving out. So, i.e., move some of the event times to not be during lunch or dinner and sort of expect our Froshies to get food on their own.
Okay, thank you. The math counselor would like to mention. that some department and faculty, for some departments and faculty, it's really difficult to get money from their faculty. This has been true from my experience with science faculty and science departments. Thank you. With that, I believe that's all for the list. And I will move on to a vote. I'm gonna thread with caution. I don't think this will be that contested, but so I will not do a roll call vote. I will seek unanimous consent. But if you wish to abstain or dissent, please do signify. Okay, I don't see anything, so this is carried by unanimous consent. Moving on. I believe that was it. HUCSU. HUCSU.
Oh, yeah,
okay.
wait, point of clarification.
Yes, that was for the full amount. Sam amended the motion earlier on. Yeah. I think that is all. The next part is Q&A. Any questions from council? Shivali?
Hi, I just have like a really quick question about like committee times and like the committee I'm on now like meets at 12 on Tuesdays, except like going into September I'll have a class at that time. So I'm wondering like what's the process with like switching committees or whatever? If I need
The chairpersons for each committee are supposed to adjust semesterly, so they should be in some ways, whether it's sending out a different when to meet link or something, figuring out a way to accommodate people's semesterly schedule changes.
Oh, okay, that's it. Thanks.
ISSN?
Thank you. I have a big concern. I believe that for committees, for council, we wasted a big time electing like general committees. And I believe that everyone's gonna try to adjust their times to these ones. But if not possible, when someone needs to retract from a committee or something, I would really much appreciate knowing what is the procedure. Like, will we need to vote it all again? Because it's a lot of time that we spend on it.
If someone was to leave a committee, they would just need to send in a resignation and then would approve it at council. And then to fill up the seat again, we would need to do the election process through council, if that was the question.
I believe that the resignations are ratified within the committees, not at council.
No, I think it needs to come to council.
It does?
Yeah.
Usually resignations are within the consent agenda and don't take any more time than the rest of the consent agenda.
I'm worried about the election itself.
The election needs to be at council,
Like one.
but it would just be for one seat. Okay, question, does funding for DSUs and FSU differ? If FSU accommodates more people and more DSU students. It's probably a question for Simmer. But if anyone has a response, feel free.
Historically, depends on the vibe of council, but that is definitely an argument that's been made in the past to like justify more funding.
Sorry. Oh, oops.
Sorry.
Yeah, sure, go.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted the question to be repeated. It kind of cut out for me.
It was just asking if there's a difference in the funding that DSUs and FSU get. DSUs here is departmental student unions, and then FSU's faculty student unions.
Yeah, I do believe that it's different. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know clubs are separate, and underline. So yeah, faculty student union funding, is different from departmental student union funding, and departmental gets more. The overall line item is student unions, but I believe it's their core funding where it changes.
Cindy?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that, I think they're gonna capture that, for core funding, it's different, but under grants, it's.
Yeah, and their core funding for departmental is significantly greater. For example, just within the most recent budget, the faculty student union core is around 20K. Departmental student union core is about 260, 250K, with clubs being around like 420K. Or sorry, 320K.
Did you still have something to add?
Me? Yeah, I was pretty much just gonna echo what Simon was saying, that it depends on the it also really depends on the individual faculty, because like the faculty of environment is smaller than the Department of Computer Science in our calculations and stuff. So it's based on a per capita formula. I believe it's somewhere on our, I believe the information on that is somewhere in our website. Correct me if I'm wrong. Those to me.
I see a direct response from Simmer.
Yeah, I just forgot to add one thing to that. Sometimes people get confused. Like I myself have had issues with this where, for example, BAS is a business faculty, but it's also the departmental. So I just want to make sure that you can't double dip. So even though you are a faculty and a departmental student union, because that is the case for some people, that doesn't mean you can pull out of both funds for the same grant.
Thank you, Simmer.
Sorry, I just saw Renee's question as well. I think that what I had experience doing is just doing a lot of outreach, whether that's cold calling or emails, to any local business. Local businesses are a lot better because they're more willing to give than bigger corporations, but they'd be willing to give a lot of different things and don't just be asking for money. The best bet you'll get is like food sponsorships and in-kind sponsorships. I've had experience with BAS actually where we used to, instead of reaching out for more money sponsorships, do like snacks for the events, pizza for the event, a lot of merch, and that kind of stuff, and a lot of swag bags. So that kind of stuff is a lot of corporate relations stuff. So instead of trying to reach out for scholarships, which are money based, you can reach out for in-kind sponsorships. So that part of your event is cut where, like, for example, the merchandise cost. It's a huge cost, but if you can get your t-shirt sponsored instead, that cuts down a lot more than your chances of trying to get just money for the event.
I see, is that for the?
Sorry, it was something that Sam said.
Yes,
just
go ahead.
Clarify. Yeah, so for travel and conference is definitely proportionate to the number of members that you have within each group.
Okay.
In response to Renee's question, I would take Meha's list first.
Okay. Did you want to skip yours as well? Okay.
She's been working on something, I think, so if you want to let her go.
Yeah.
Pass.
I was just wondering, like, getting a gauge kind of what would everybody want to would everybody want to do, like maybe a BAS ran like workshop on how to secure sponsorships? Like, would that be something that DSUs and clubs would want to receive information from? Okay.
That's what I was gonna say as well, as like show of hands, like people are looking for maybe a dev session would be a good place to put that in.
I think a dev session would be good, but it should be open to all the members of the DSU. That would be one I could see us booking out the ballroom for if we wanted to get some more people, the externals
Bring your
and
friends.
corporate officers or corporate relations if you have that, or for clubs as well.
Yeah, I was going through the sponsored material. In the past, we've done workshop. We have some material already ready on how to get sponsorships, some sample sponsorship packages, what sort of benefits you can provide. Some clubs have done it really well in the past. So definitely a dev session. But I'd be happy to like let Bass lead that in this year.
Yeah, sadly not Pranay.
Can't code our way out.
Maybe you could.
Okay, it seems like there's consensus on that one, so now you know. Any other questions? Comments? Promo?
Oh yeah, any events that anybody wants to shout out? Any initiatives?
Cool. I don't see UA.
We have a silent study space going on in the sub. If any of you or your friends would want it, it's on the 5th floor ballroom. I believe it's from until August 14th, if I'm not wrong. And it's until the sub closes, so like the full day.
When does it start?
It started like a few days ago,
Oh,
so it's ongoing.
cool.
So, yeah.
Great. Anything else? Okay, I will move on to announcements. This should have been under consent agenda, not announcement. But because that already happened already. Yeah. I'm just gonna make this a friendly amendment to move 15.1 and 15.2. And add it to consent agenda instead, as opposed to an announcement.
It's already approved. It's already been approved. Yeah.
I went to the Sunshine Coast, if anybody's wondering.
Is that an announcement?
No, that's what it says. I wanna leave events. Sam went to Nova Scotia, and then I went to the Sunshine Coast.
Well, we did though, we changed the.
Regrets is like an exception. Has to be.
Okay, I'll just strike it out. Yeah, I'll strike it off on this meeting.
But why? It can be a normal agenda item too. It's fine.
We should make the announcement. Then move on.
It can be on the consent agenda, it can be on the.
Bro, you totally please, bro.
Just leave it as an announcement.
I announced that I left.
I'm back.
I'm back now.
Thank you. Just stay.
Yeah,
If
I
Cindy
also
says-
know. Yeah, Cindy, any guidance on this one?
She said it's okay.
You can suspend the rules to make it a motion. But then you can also, as you suggested, strike it to be included automatically.
On the next one.
Yeah, I'll just do that. I'll just strike off, I'm gonna move to strike off 15.1 and 15.2.
I'll second.
ET equity seconds. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, that is carried unanimously. Any other announcements? I think I have two. One of them, good news for council. There will not be a council meeting in 2 weeks.
I might have to rethink that one, given there's a lot of. There's some potentially important fresh motions that other people want to bring, that can only be approved at council.
Yeah.
That's so soon to, that's like such short notice for fall though.
But it needs to be passed.
It should be debated.
So we're gonna have to join that from.
I wasn't.
I thought it was yours. Huh? Well, that was.
And we just postponed.
Yeah, but the thing is like, the thing is, I'm BC, so I'm not technically assessed, I'm crim, so the thing is, ours is gonna be.
Tax and such haven't been very.
I mean, you're gonna
But
be
the thing is,
prepared
ours is
for
like.
long discussions around those items as well.
But SAS is the third week September, it's like late September, not even early.
Minutes, that's C plus. I was told today that it wasn't on the agenda. I was told. 2 days ago that it was.
We just moved like a Frosh thing to the next one, so.
From the accounting says there's still a process that we have to really exact for the VP finance, so that baseline will still be approved if that's eligible to carry forward.
Yeah. Because we could approve up to
I'm so sad.
5, right?
If you still don't think.
How much, do we know how much they're proposing?
SAS is 5K, SAS is in line with C++, right now.
Okay, we could do 2 of those at our exec.
Sorry.
Yeah, so like I said, I think I will still proceed with that, and then the extra amount we just put on the next council meeting after that. So I'll still proceed. Next council meeting will be canceled. So council, you guys could have a break. Our first meeting back will be September 4th, I believe.
Should be September.
Yes, September 4th will be our first meeting back. So please enjoy the rest of the summer and do your exams, finals, and all that. Hope that goes well. Cindy?
There's still a development session.
Yes.
That's optional. After that, it's optional.
So council is canceled, but as you mentioned, this session will still happen next week and then the last week of August as well.
Did you see the question?
There'll be a new schedule for the meeting. What do you mean by
It
that?
means council meetings. It's
No,
pretty standard.
council meetings stay the same. They're always gonna be on Wednesday at 5:30. How many bunch of appeals the end of the councilors council?
What we just said.
Yeah, so what I just said is, some of them are around the cost that the executive committee can approve, so we will go that route. And then whatever is left will come to council the first week of September, which allows the groups to still proceed with their plans. Someone said the other question. Yes.
Why did it have to be extended handle or other? What if the council meeting have to be the same day and the month of
Yeah, so it doesn't have to be the same time, but it's been practice. We've always kept it on Wednesday. And usually actually in the past it was at 4:30, but we made a change this semester to make it 5:30 because people have co-ops and work better. So we are able to make adjustments, but Monday to Friday, some people are gonna have class on different days, so we're never gonna be effectively gonna be able to capture everyone's schedule.
But I think my content they could different schedules given it to like the different schedules to be it that's what I'm like concerned about that the meeting the same day. Well, it has a different schedule and everything.
Right, and again, as I mentioned, regardless, let's say we change it to Friday, some people are gonna have class on the Friday. If we kept it on Wednesday, some people are gonna have class on the Wednesday. So regardless which day we choose, there's still gonna be some people that are not fully accounted for, if that makes sense. But Joe, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, just knowing that it's been practiced Wednesday, 4:30 or 5:30, like that time. It's given people enough time to make sure that they select a schedule that aligns with the council meeting. It's a commitment councilors have made that they get paid for. So I think this is a fair ask to have councilors attend at a certain.
Yeah, I was asking.
Yeah, I just think for us, it allows for consistency and for people to effectively plan their schedule.
Okay.
So we don't have to get the schedule and work around them. I think it's better to work around. Yeah. Any other questions?
Now.
Okay, and then, oh, yes.
I think you decide a better time for everyone, like later this month, because it was unilaterally changed this term. So it can be changed really easily, so I'm just saying we can see what other schedules are like.
We can turn them.
Yes, that was more just pushed back to 5:30 because they're still. But I was still keeping the same day, like it was still generally within the same time frame.
Going for next week's dev session, seeing as how there's finals and everything, is it still gonna be in person or can it be, is it hybrid? Hybrid, okay, thank you.
That was more for direct response. For changing the time, it's mostly pushed back, which actually accommodates for more people because classes are rather earlier in the day then.
We gotta pick some time.
Yes.
Yeah.
We gotta hold it at some point.
Again, return to my earlier point, whatever day it is, there's gonna be someone that needs to figure out something. So the best we could do is just, it's only the time we could change, the day of the week doesn't really matter. It's really just the time that we could really push to later to accommodate for
I
everyone.
used to join council at 0 volume with captions on from my lecture. For like a month.
Yeah, so yeah, I believe we'll still keep it on Wednesdays, but if that, I don't assume that to not work for anyone, because I know people chose the schedule based on their commitments. But if that's a strong concern, I'm sure there's ways we could address that.
I actually tried to host council from class once.
You can adjust as they come up, but FNMISA.
Yeah, I know in the past there's been times where I was unable to make it because of my class. You can always send somebody in place for you if you would like, even though they don't get paid to do it. But that's another option for those that, you know, I had a class that went till 5:30 or when it was at 4:30, so I would miss the first hour. And then every once in a while, I'd just send somebody else in. So that's also an option for those that, you know, have a class.
That's a really good point. Send your alternates or send your replacements if you can, because it helps with quorum. So please do that.
Yes. Any other questions? Okay, with that said, like I mentioned, that is gonna be canceled for next council. Please do not show up or be online, we're gonna be there. And then the last announcement, on September 13th, we're planning a council social. So please just reserve that in your calendar for the evening.
Bring the early birthday gifts.
So on September 13th, it's a Friday. We're expecting everyone to show up in person. It's gonna be in the ballroom on the 5th floor. So just mark that in your calendars. But with that said, I think that is all on the end. I will move to adjournment. Be resolved to adjourn the meeting at 7:20 PM. I move, yes, a second. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried unanimously. Thank you, guys. Good luck with finals and exams. And we will see you guys at the start of the fall semester and next week and last week of August.